forum. It would be great to hear your position on what is happening in EFCC and Nigeria right now, because what the little we know about your front is that it's not a political party yet, it's a movement. And so we will want to know at what point we become a political party. So it's going to be a great time, and we will not be, if you are not a member that we have specially invited, either as a panelist or as a guest, we may not be entertained. Oh, we're about to start. Thank you for watching Ben Television, the greatest Black and minority ethnic group television in Europe. I'm glad you are watching, and the program is You Decide. My name is Shegun Johnson, and it's going to be a great discussion today. What we do here, we release facts, we release information, we try and give you a balanced analysis, but at the end of the day, you decide. I have got people from all over the continents here this morning, and we will be having a great, great time. But you will be taking the decision. It's my pleasure to welcome all the way from Rivers, Nigeria, Honorable Davis. Honorable Davis, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
We also have our own man, political analyst, Otumba Bode Oseni. You are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all.
Yes, we have from Nigeria, Abeokuta in Ogun State, the man representing the National Consultative Front, Mr. Gbenga Adeoye. You are welcome to the program. Mr. Adeoye, you are welcome to the program.
You need to unmute yourself.
You will have to unmute, Mr. Adeoye. I want to be sure you are hearing and we can hear you. Yes. Studio, is it possible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Please keep that button on so that we can always be sure you are on. Gosin Azu is your man, is my man. Gosin, you are welcome. I can see you dressed in Nigerian clothes. It's good. It's good.
You're great to be here. Great to be here. Good morning, everyone. My great pleasure. And greetings from Peterborough.
Yeah, Peterborough. Thank you very much. The last but not the least is our in-house researcher, Nat Iyako. Nat, you are welcome to the program.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you.
Yes, Nat, don't get too close to the camera. You know, move it. Yes, thank you very much. It's going to be a great time. Let's start from the coronavirus, the lifting up of pubs and restaurants in the United Kingdom. Already, not less than 3 pubs have been closed down again, or rather, they shut themselves down because just one night of drinking and they were back. Coronavirus was detected, and so they have to do deep cleansing, but they were happy to shut themselves down. Gotin, let me quickly ask from you, were you at the pubs or not?
No, not really, unfortunately. I couldn't take the obvious risk of jumping into the momentum and get myself caught unaware. It was a great thing in Peterborough because there's a lot of pubs here in Peterborough High Street, and people were eager for this pint of beer, pint of Guinness, eager for the glass of whiskey and some shaking of the glasses. And it was a hell on Saturday here in Peterborough, where we got so many people.
They started from the midnight. They started 12 midnight.
Oh,
was there any social distancing in Peterborough?
Well, I think people threw caution to the wind. A lot of people forgot social distancing in their houses where they were coming out from, and decided to play by the rules of natural nature. And, you know, drink and forget your sorrow.
Okay, let me ask of people who live in London. In the city of London, Otuba, that's where you live. You were there drinking, weren't you?
I was about to start, but then again, I put one on two together, and I believe that the issue of regulating corona needs to come first. And let's be on a more serious note. I can understand how tasty, how willfully these many people are, that they want to know of drinkers. They drink, yeah. In most of European countries, when it comes to the issue of drinking, UK has a place. So what happened again is very, very unfortunate, because the idea initially was to create this 1 meter plus social distancing and all that kind of thing. And I also remember seeing on the TV that most of these pubs, most of these, they have already put that in place. Then when you look at the search, the large number of people who are so tasty, who is the Guinness and all that kind of thing, when they search, when they rush to the pubs, it becomes very difficult to. And I also want to ask, I hope most of these people that done so much, I hope they paid on that day, because it was like a kind of a football stadium where you, yeah, it was a kind of a carnival. So for me, it's a mixed feelings, and I hope government will have a lesson to learn. They will need to probably revisit the arrangement of releasing people back to normalcy.
Let me ask from your fellow Londoner. Let me ask from your fellow Londoner. Nat, I know you don't drink. What was your impression? Those who drank last Saturday.
Since when are you speaking for Nat?
Nat, do you drink while you are at the pub, Nat? Nat, can you unmute?
It's like he's drunk now.
Nat, can you unmute?
Interfere in my affairs.
Go ahead, Nat. What happened in London?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you now. What happened in London? Well, while Nat,
Saturday was declared Super Saturday. Sunday was declared Super Sunday.
Yes, it was.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can. We can. Go on. Well, we will come back to it.
Okay. Super Saturday was.
Nat, are you sure you are in somewhere in London, or you are somewhere in Kosovo, or are you in Ukraine?
Nat, I'll come back to you. Let me ask from people in Nigeria. Let me start with the Honorable Davies. Honorable Davies, where are you, Honorable Davies? I'm trying to get your face. You have
Port Harcourt.
Yes, but you don't want
BENTV office. I'm in BENTV office in Port Harcourt.
Yes, can we see your face?
My face is on. Oh, sorry.
No, you have aha, now I can see you. I can see you. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, before we discuss the issues of politics, how is I understand Governor Wike has done a lot of work in Rivers State concerning coronavirus. How is the level of infection and deaths in Rivers, if you can tell us?
The level of infection cannot be adequately quantified because there is no widespread test.
Okay.
So since there is no widespread test, the available data is not reliable.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, and talking of deaths too, there are controversies about what killed who, and so that is also contentious. But obviously, people are not dying as we saw in other countries where people fall down on the streets and die. And people still die of some other things. One thing has been proved now that there is an increase in malaria and typhoid infections, which are some of the symptoms, yes, which are some of the symptoms, and people treat them locally with typhoid and malaria treatments. People are having loss of sense of smell, having loss of sense of taste, which are classic symptoms of coronavirus. But I think because they're successfully treating them with local herbs and concussions, they are treating them like normal malaria things. And so after a while, these people get recovered. Apparently, what I think is happening is that the immune system of the people are very strong. And since the immune systems are strong, their responses to the local treatments are sort of giving some results. So level of infections or spread and contamination or contagion.
Yeah, thank you for your wonderful contribution. The reason is wonderful is because the World Health Organization thought that Africa will have been decimated by now. They reckon that people will have been dying in their millions, but it has not happened. In fact, those of us in Europe, we're so glad that Africa has proved them wrong. There's something greater and better in Africa. We can't explain it because there is no known medication, there is no known vaccination, there is no, our health issues, they're just at the bottom of the ladder. They had expected that more people will die in Africa. As we speak, all the number, they're not up to 700 who have died of COVID-19 in Africa. It's still in Nigeria. It's still a mystery. It's a mystery to the scientific world. So it must be something to do with the immunity of our bodies.
Yes.
And is there social distancing in rivers like we do in London? There's a lot of social distancing here.
Not much of social distancing, but people are gradually buying into the use of face masks.
Okay.
So people are careful. A lot of them, they serve as almost like chin marks, but then there are a lot of people who are now aware of the need to put on face masks. And people are also educating themselves on the need for social distancing. And when you go to the churches and events, people are conscious of that. So there's not that crowd things, except in the markets anyway, which for now, especially in Port Harcourt, the situation in Port Harcourt is that all the markets are, so to say, closed. And there is no proper regulation on how marketing should be and buying and selling should be. So it's in the market areas that they have this crowding. Out of market areas, people are conscious of keeping some level of distances from each other.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me quickly ask our man from Ogun State to see how they're doing. In Ogun State, they said that the churches have not yet started meeting. Some people are complaining. Our brother from Ogun State, Benga, how are you doing, you guys? I mean, as a state, how are you doing with coronavirus? Are you on top of it?
We're doing fine here in Ogun State. The issue is that when you look at the details of what we have in Nigeria at the moment, you have about 29,789 infected persons as at today. And what many people do not pay attention to is the fact that large numbers of people have been discharged, 12,108. So when we're talking about people seriously that are seriously affected with coronavirus, we'll be talking about 17,681. And then in total, in the whole of the country, you have deaths, 669. And if you listen to what people have said about causes of death in their family, you realize that not all of the deaths reported under this bracket of coronavirus death were actually as a result of coronavirus. Of course, you hear about underlying infections. So, but when you look at Ogun State, I think while the governor of Ogun State has decided not to allow for churches to start meeting for now, is because of our closeness to Lagos, and then Ogun State more like imitates what is happening in Lagos, except for the weekend lockdown that we still have in Ogun State, which many analysts feel is unnecessary because you don't have lockdown Mondays to Fridays, and then you are having lockdown Saturday to Sunday. But I think the intention of the government is to avoid people going to clubs, party, and then religious organization, gathering.
But the argument of some pastors in Lagos and Ogun, their argument has been people go to markets, there is no social distancing, and they are not falling on the floor. How much more in the church, where is a good place for dissemination of information, is a good place for standardization? Why are you not opening those churches? What will you say?
I think I share in the idea of those pastors, but not 100%, because when you talk about churches that are well organized, RCCG, winners, and all the rest, you may have proper arrangement in churches where the required social distancing will be observed, the use of nose mask. But there are some churches that are very small who still need to be educated. But in all honesty, what operates in the market is most likely worse than what will operate in churches. And so you look at churches who gather for sometimes maximum of 2 hours for services, and markets are open from morning till evening, So this argument somehow makes a lot of sense that why not allow churches to gather so that through the churches you can educate the people. But I think the fear of government is that people may not observe the required social distancing, and then there may be a surge in community transmission, principally coming from those
there is a sense in that. The only thing that is that in London, or rather in the United Kingdom, the churches have been given strict guidelines. When you are singing in the church, you are allowed to sing, but you must not shout, because when you shout, there are droplets, possible droplets, and you must use face mask. And so I know we are given strict guidelines, which is good for us, which protects us from one another, and that is very good. And so, well, I'm not even advocating anyone. I'm just saying that the Nigerian government should look into it. And it's only 2 states that have not allowed their churches to meet anyway, churches and mosques.
That's Lagos and Ogun.
Lagos and Ogun. Let's leave it like that. Thank you very much. And I enjoyed your presentation on that. Before we come to discuss real issues of Nigeria, and I want you to get ready, Honorable Davies and Mr. Dewey, let's talk one more thing about the United Kingdom. Before the Boris Johnson came in, we were told that the Conservative government would not be spending money like Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party. Majority of the people voted for Boris Johnson with 80 members of parliament to play with extra. And now the situation is that he's spending more than what Jeremy Corbyn planned to spend, therefore making the Conservative Party lose its own ideology of not spending a lot of money, but making it a lot of money. As it is, Boris Johnson is rolling out the central bank. Let me ask our in-house researcher if his system is okay now. Nat, what is the latest concerning the budget that we're hearing from the government? Because any moment from now, the Chancellor of the Exchequer will be telling us what the budget for 2020-21 will be. But there are some controversies about Labour and Conservative.
Well, the issue is even before the coronavirus came in 2020, the challenges, financial challenges were already there globally. And the UK is not in isolation. Whatever affected the global economy, the UK has always had their fair share of the challenges. And what is really happening is that there is no way, no matter any government that is on ground, must spend and spend and spend. Is it because the challenges is not calling for being very mean with your financial resources. You find the level of unemployment was very high. The level of even industries packing up or moving their headquarters because of Brexit was already there.
Yeah,
the pound sterling has been devalued almost 12 to 13%. So that created problems. The Chancellor of the Exchequer is want to pour in £2 billion to encourage the youths to be more productive and contributing their quota to the economy, because the youths are being engaged in activities that are not too productive. He wants them to come into the high-tech world, even though their level of technology has been used for unproductive efforts. Okay. And so we want to see how the youth will take up this challenge of bringing them into the mainstream of the economy.
Oh, thank you very much, Nat. Let me ask a man from Peterborough. Godson, they said 1 in 7 may be out of work in the United Kingdom if there is a second spike, and Chancellor of the Exchequer is trying to look at that. You think he's up to the task?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we all have to understand that considering the fact that the Conservative Party is more of a liberal capitalist ideological right-wing party that believes in wealth creation, though wealth creation by the few against the majority, but then they tend to ensure that the economy consistently grow itself through what I call market-oriented devices. And unfortunately, COVID-19 has kind of impacted on the economic policies of Boris Johnson and his team when coming into power. But we could see how him and the Chancellor of the Exchequer have been able to muscle some stimulus packages that many countries cannot afford. I mean, the UK alone has muscled almost about 60 or 70% of the same amount of money that the entire Europe is muscling to keep Europe moving in UK alone. And they're trying their best. Everyone knows that the UK is a service-oriented economy, and building on the fact that they are going through this Brexit agenda, the economy they need to grow now is about growing the service sector properly beyond just the housing and the banking and insurance transitions, but into the high tech, just like my colleague have said. They're trying to invest so much on the tech hubs we have in the United Kingdom now. We know that there are 2 largest tech hubs in the UK. One is located in central London, and the other one is here in Peterborough, where they are, in fact, by ending of this year, they are going to lay the foundation for one of the biggest UK tech university in Peterborough.
Are you campaigning? Gossin, are you
campaigning? No, I'm just saying that what they're trying to do is that, like, if you look at what the coronavirus has caused, a lot of companies are shutting down. A lot of retail shops are shutting down. That is going to cause about unemployment. And then if there are no places to employ people, then you need to create an social entrepreneurship platforms that will engage people that are going to be out of work in order to keep people in active, business-oriented, innovative-oriented ventures.
I mean, what you are saying is right, but the Labour Party will not see it from that angle. And
but you can't compare the
Justin, I disagree with you. The Labour
the Labour economic
the Labour
and
Party will not agree with many of
the
or
labor,
some
the
of the
labor,
things
the
that.
labor economic, the labor economic policies and indicators cannot withstand a coronavirus economic crisis. That's the process.
Okay,
That's the issue.
thank you, Gossin. Thank you, Otuba. Labour Party will not agree with Gossin, and just I don't want us to spend too much time. I have so many guests from Nigeria I want to talk to, but then at a point, I agree with many things Gossin has said. But at a point, he was campaigning, and Otuba, do you think? How do you think Jeremy Corbyn will be feeling now? People rejected Labour Party policies, and now Boris Johnson is even doing greater than on Labour policies, more than Jeremy has put down. What's your take?
I think the COVID-19 had pushed him to be doing what he's doing. And it's also what to note that the main preoccupation of governance of any government is to create enabling environment. So for production and so on. So the situation is, if the chancellor, I mean, he has seen it, that it is a calamity in the face of everybody here, that many people are going to lose their livelihood, their jobs, and many production lines are also may have to close because of these coronavirus thing. So the spending the chancellor is proposing, for me, is not for nothing. I mean, he has to do it because of the situation that has created a big gap, a big hole in the whole structure of economic settings in the country. So I think it is because of the situation that happened that made conservatives have to start spending so much. They have no choice. So yeah, well, unfortunately, nobody knows what is happening when Jeremy Corbyn was planning for his economic drive.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I want to ask from our brothers from Nigeria, and forgive me, I'm not trying to be cheeky. Let me start, please, just in one minute or two. Starting from you, sir, Honorable Davies, you are the chairman of APC in Rivers. Do you think our political parties in Nigeria, they talk in terms of budgeting according to their ideological positions like we do here in the United Kingdom?
Well, excuse me, ideologically speaking, the politics of Nigeria is not largely, essentially based on ideology.
Wow.
Political groups are largely formed based on interest promotion and things like that. It's only the old Progressive Congress that you see a very strong element of progressive personalities in the party. Otherwise, political parties in Nigeria is a mix, is a potpourri of many ideologies and tendencies. So parties have their manifestos and the things they intend to do, and when they come to power, some of them try to do it, some of them don't even remember what they said. So that is the truth. That is the truth of the matter in Nigeria. That is the truth.
All right.
Yes,
I just wanted to cross-check whether I was getting something wrong. Let me ask our man from Ogun State, Mr. Adeoye. You represent the National Consultative Front, and it's a movement, political movement, to give us a new perspective to the Nigerian politics and policies. And you've listened to my colleagues living in the United Kingdom, how we discuss spending along budgetary and ideological lines. To what extent do you think Nigeria should have gone that way? Let me give you one thing. I used to be a lecturer in the university, and one of the questions we give our final year students, I taught political science, was there is nothing sacrosanct about ideology, but a nation who does not have ideology will neither know its left from its right. Discuss. Now, do you want to take that question on concerning Nigeria about ideology and spending? Thank you, Mr.
Yes, I think where we need to start from is to look at you know, I have this analysis that when you buy drugs in a pharmacy shop,
Yeah.
and then you see adverts being placed, and they tell you, use this drug. If symptom persists after 2 or 3 days, consult your doctors.
Yeah.
And so we've seen that in the last 21 years, we've had issues in the country. And so we can't see truth being exhibited. We've not been able to see equity. We've not been able to see justice, equality, peace, unity, and love across the country. And this is not something that you need a professor in the university to conduct a research to tell you about the
Yeah.
situation.
Oh, Dr. Ade, are you still with us? Okay. While he's trying to get that one ready, let me quickly fly to Akwa Ibom. Mr. Iboro Otu, how are you doing, sir? Mr.
Consultative front. We have looked at
Iboro, I
the
can't.
situation in the country. What are we looking for? The good roads? You are talking about the here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. All right. I'll come back to you, Iboro. Yeah, we can hear you. Dr. Adeoye. Oh, come on. Is Dr. Adeoye on? Okay, we'll come back to Dr. Adeoye. Iboro, yes, I'm sorry. Can you unmute Iboro?
I think I'm unmuted now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
you can hear
fine.
me. All right. Thank
Yeah,
you so
I can
much
hear
for
you
having
now.
me.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
You are from Akwa Ibom, sir.
that is correct. Yes.
Yeah, we're trying to talk about how we can raise the profile of the Nigerian politics and governance, maybe from the ideological angle, so that we can spend our money to reason along with the ideas of creating wealth and spending wealth in accordance with developmental processes. Is that possible,
Yes.
Mr. Itu? Is it okay to call you Mr. Otu or Iboro? What will you like?
Mr. Whichever is fine.
All
Mr.
right.
Otu is fine. Mr. Iboro is
Mr.
fine.
Otu,
Thank
okay,
you.
okay, from Akwa Ibom, Mr. Otu, go ahead.
Yes. I think that can happen only when we have reasonable, credible people engage the political system. And again, if we don't reform our political system, how do we get the right people to come in and win elections? Because when it comes to ideology, as it is at the moment, I love what the man from River State said. It's all about political interest. How we are structured as a country is quite sad at the moment when anyone makes, because we don't have a political class, anyone that makes money muscles their way in, and when they have political power, they do whatever they want. People fly from party to party. It goes to show that the parties themselves don't really represent a lot. So that in itself is not helping us position ourselves properly, socially, economically, or otherwise. And when you see what's happening, like with the advent of Corona, how the government is attacking it, how they're approaching it different ways, different people doing different things, multiplicity of functions. And then even when they're saying they're doing stuff, you're really not seeing a lot of results. And then the current activities that we're having, whether it's with the EFCC or wherever, there's a lot of stuff going on, but it tends to be a lot of noise because the direction is not there. The policies, even the implementation of them are not properly put together. But in going forward, the hope is that we can have a lot of people come in and young people that are futuristic come in, engage the system, and somehow politically change things.
Yeah,
it's possible that can
we'll
happen in
definitely
time.
talk about politics more because at a point you were a governorship candidate in Akwa Ibom.
Correct.
All right, we'll come to talk about politics. But there's one more politician on the forum today, and is Mr. Tonye from APC. He's the secretary of APC in Rivers State. You are welcome to the program, sir. Tonye, are you hearing me? Yes, on mute.
Hello, good morning. I'm hearing you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. You'll be the last person I will ask this question. Why do we not have ideological presentation in our political parties? You being a secretary of one of the biggest parties in Nigeria, in Rivers, why are we not ideological in orientation?
Oh, okay. First, I would try to correct the impression. I was not the secretary of Rivers State, but I was a stakeholder in Rivers State. and River State politics.
Right.
However, you know, the thing about politics in River State and in Nigeria as a whole is about mindset. People, a lot of people see politics and things from one perspective. They have not really seen what is acceptable in other parts of the world. I was one of those victims as well. I looked at politics from one view and how it happens from the Nigerian perspective. But just recently, I was privileged to be in the United Kingdom, and I saw how politics are done, how leaders are being accountable, how followership calls for accountability of leadership. And this has really given me a mind shift on how politics is supposed to be run. Yeah, where people ask questions, where people are not following leadership because of what they are supposed to get. Because this is taxpayers' money. People should ask questions like, this is our money. What are we doing with it? What are you doing with it? Just recently, I was on the social media platform. I heard someone talking about that the governor of our state is not doing something for a particular tribe because he doesn't have friends in that tribe. And I kicked off immediately. And I was like, the governor does not have to be your friend to spend taxpayers' money in taking care of basic amenities in the state. All right. So it's high time younger generations, younger people needs to come and understudy how this politics work. People need to start asking questions and get the desired result we all expect in River State and Nigeria at large.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to move on to our next serious topic. I have never seen this happen in Nigeria before, that the EFCC chairman was arraigned, questioned, interrogated, was not released to go home. I've never, starting from Nuhuri Badu down the line. I remember those who have been, I remember Farida, and it never happened before. But 2 or 3 days ago, the acting chairman of EFCC, Mr. Ibrahim Magu, was first of all, they were told arrested, then interrogated, then invited, then after looking for more verbs to use because in Nigeria, one verb does not fit all. And finally, we discovered that he has lost his job. And I was wondering, well, Shola Saraki will be today. I told you this man is not competent to hold that position. I told you 8th Assembly never approved this man. Twice he was presented and twice he was chucked out, but the president of Nigeria held on to him until now. Just in 2 minutes, I want to know what happened, what was the drama in the last 2-3 days in Nigeria?
Well, the acting chairman of EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, took the headlines of the newspapers in Nigeria. And this is after the Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation wrote a memo to Mr. President with 22 allegations against Ibrahim Magu. I think unknown to most Nigerians, retired Justice Ayo Salami has been quietly working, heading a panel investigating Magu. And he has been doing this for the past 3 to 4 weeks. And so coming up ultimate Monday this week, Magu was flagged down in the street of Abuja and he was taken away to the presidential villa to answer or respond to some of these allegations. But if briefly we want to see what is
okay, Nat, let me hold you there. Let's listen to TVC News, what it has to say. Thank you, Nat. Hold on. Okay. Studio. I can't get. volume studio. Can you add volume studio?
Tuesday, the interrogation of the anti-gravity boss is to give him the opportunity to clear himself of weighty allegations. It assured that the administration will not prejudge anyone, as it could be counted on to uphold justice and fairness. And TVC News, Femi Akonde joins us for more on this. Femi, we're hearing about some alleged suspension of Ibrahim Magu. Can you clarify that for us?
Yes, Precious, take it or leave it. It's not just Ibrahim Magu that is on trial. Indeed, the anti-corruption fight of President Muhammadu Buhari is also on trial because everyone is watching to see how this particular issue will pan out. We are hearing reports about Ibrahim Magu's suspension. The presidency is yet to confirm that as we speak. But what we have heard from the presidency is that nobody is above scrutiny, not Ibrahim Magu, and not anybody, even in the presidency, is above scrutiny. And Ibrahim Magu, as we understand, has been given the opportunity to also clear himself of all these allegations leveled against him. The panel has been sitting since yesterday when Ibrahim Magu was invited to face the panel. That hearing continued up till today. I will hear that they have even resumed hearing. They went on a recess and they have resumed hearing as we speak. But there is no official confirmation to Ibrahim Magu's suspension. We do not know if that is confirmed or not, but it is not impossible looking at the weight of allegations leveled against him. You know, we have had calls from different quarters, including from opposition.
All right, that was the TVC News there. We acknowledge them with that clip. Nat, quickly, in 30 seconds, what's the position now?
I think TVC News is behind the news. That was yesterday's news.
Yeah, go on.
As we speak, a new chairman of EFCC has been appointed in the person of Commissioner of Police Chiroma, Bala Chiroma, current Commissioner of FCT.
Chiroma, yeah.
And Magu has moved out his property from his house in Karu. And he's still with the Presidential Investigation Panel. And he's going to go on for quite some days or weeks ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask all the ones, our panelists and guests on the forum, but please, I will have to peg you to 2 minutes because we're going to do in-depth analysis in a minute. But I want to quickly hear things for 2 minutes each, those are, as I called you, because I will have to stop you so that we can then go into in-depth of what is going on in Nigeria. Is this the revolution we've been waiting for or something else? Azu?
Thank you very much, Doc. I think this is not a revolution, but this is one of the key witchcrafts of politics in Nigeria, in the sense that it shows the way that people react to people in certain position of authority when they step on toes. Magu has stepped on toes, and he has been in the watch list for a very long period. He is lucky to have spent up to 5 years under this watch list. Unfortunately, things have changed. And you realize that since after Abba Kyari's death, a lot of those guys who were loyal to Abba Kyari are beginning to have the heat, and he is one of them. Magu, I think, was trying to overdo his responsibilities. And him and Malami has been in doggerhead for a long time. He's been doggerhead with Malami, been doggerhead with Maman Daura. These are guys that are really looking out for his head for a long time. And so, like my colleague said, he's gone, and I'm sure he's gone for good. Basically,
okay. Let me quickly ask Otuba before we go to Nigeria.
The house in Karu belongs to him, but he has moved out of his official residence in Maitama, which is the EFCC's boss's official house in Maitama. So Labala Chiroma has taken over. Unfortunately, this is the Northern game. The Northern game is always against themselves. They will
all
play
right, let me ask Otuba, please. Otuba, you've had it all. Is this what you've been waiting for? Structure and rule of law. Is this what we've been waiting for?
Yeah, thank you very much, Doc. Yes, structure, a rule of law. Here we go again. Let's start by saying the president has the right to, he can hire and he can fire. And if he thinks one of his aides or one of the people working for him is not performing or is not doing well, he has also the right to listen to a complaint against it. We are dealing with allegations here. We need to be very careful. We are dealing with allegations first. And also, we also must not forget that until when the allegation result to trial and trial result to proving guilty or not guilty, as far as Nigerians are concerned, because this is the thing, as far as Nigerians are concerned, Magu is under investigation. Still does not necessarily mean he's guilty of any offense, because I'll be surprised if Magu did not go with a lawyer to also defend all the allegations put against him or before him. So having said that, we also have this problem, because what we are discussing here is the issue of a country that has no ideology, that has no proper structure, rule of law in place, and hence you find out that most of our institutions are personalized. Institutions are not strong. It is the people. You will not find in America or here in the UK, you hardly find the name of who is in charge of things like this. But in Nigeria, is the name first, and that is wrong. So what the problem we have in Nigeria is everything is either personalized or politicized. In case of Magu, people who have always wanted to have Magu gone are the people who he has listed to investigate.
So
and also remember,
so the 1 trillion naira trace to him is just a way of getting him out, isn't it?
Dr. Johnson, I've just said to you, as a local person, the money traced to him, you and I do not know, because you don't know the full fact of it.
And because they wanted to respond to him.
What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, I, as a legal person, want to wait for the outcome of Justice Salami panel. So I'm not going to subscribe to anybody, to any hearsay or any newspaper or something.
Otuba, wait a minute. Hearsay has sent him out of that job, whether you like it or not. You are calling it hearsay.
And that is,
it has sent him out of that job.
Fair enough, and that's why he's been investigated. Dr. Johnson, that's why he's now being investigated. I'm not speaking for him. I'm not his legal rep, but I'm saying to you, the normal thing is he's been investigated.
I have guys from Nigeria. Let's listen to my friends from Nigeria, please. We are one. Let me go through again. Honorable Davies again. Here we are. What are your immediate thoughts in 2 minutes? I have to go through everyone, please.
My thoughts are that you have to understand that for the past 5 years, the president has trusted Magu. Now the challenge is that his chief law officer is one that is raising the issues. So the president has an obligation to listen to what the chief law officer is saying. Well, I'm not sure that what the Attorney General has done is that what he knows is based on petitions. I believe that what he has gathered are petitions against Magu. And of course, like Otumba was saying, for the average Nigerian on the street, Magu is being fought by corruption. That's the impression on the street. And it is good that a high-powered committee headed by the former president of the Court of Appeals, retired Justice Ayo Salami, is sitting on that panel as the chair. And it's believed that he will do a good job. As for Magu coming back to his position or not, I cannot say anything about it. But I think that if the panel sits down and vindicates Magu. Of course, whether he comes back or not, that's no longer the issue. Maybe those who wanted him out, if that is a true story, we celebrate that I've had him out. But how are they sure that the incoming person will not even be tougher than Magu if it was so tough? So that is my think about it. Thank you.
Okay, please, I'm coming to what is happening in Rivers APC after this discussion, but I want to give our brothers some chances to say, and so I know those we have invited, and we have also invited Mr. Ogbonna. I'm yet to identify you on the Zoom forum, but let me quickly ask Dr. Adeoye. Yours is National Consultative Forum. Tell me, what is your front rather? What is your front thinking concerning all these drama going? Is this Nollywood or Hollywood? Please tell me.
Well, but let me say that when you're expecting performance in a nation, the first thing you look at is the structure. And it is this structure that determines the conduct of the key players, of the drivers of governance. And so when the conduct is wrong, then the performance will be zero. Now, let me just mention a few things about the Magu issue, which is part of what we have identified at the NCF. The quality of leaders that we have is one problem in our country. And you see well-meaning Nigerians, the like of Otumba and several people on this platform, we sit back, analyze on Twitter, Facebook, and on television and newspapers, but we don't want to get involved in politics. So that's one problem. So we have quality of leadership, bad ones. Corruption. Now, when you talk of the head of EFCC having this issue, I want us to please take note that there is no smoke without fire. And there's a proverb in Yoruba land that when you wear a white cloth, you don't go play around with palm oil sellers. And when you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. So Magu is aware that he has enemies. And so, and they're watching him. So the issue is that Otumba was talking about law. Yes, we know that we have an adversarial system of law here, that until it is decided in court. But let's come to conscience. Here is a situation where something is definitely wrong somewhere. Something is wrong somewhere. And before Mr. President can suspend the head of EFCC, you know that something is wrong somewhere.
And something substantive is wrong.
Something is wrong somewhere. So corruption is one of the things that we identify in at NCF. We also discover that we do not have electoral reforms, you know, and that's why you have rigging of election, vote buying.
Yeah, we'll come to you. We'll come to you, Dr. Adeoye. I know. I just wanted to get this Magu one off my chest.
Okay.
My friend, Mr. Otu, governorship candidate one time. When you watch all this drama going on, listen carefully. Mr. Magu, I was told, was living in a house of 40 million naira per annum, paid by a businessman. How do you feel, Iboro? Come on, tell me something.
Yeah, like you started, if this was the revolution we all require, we need people, new players, external, serious-minded people like all of us sitting on this panel to come and engage politically for change to happen. For me, I just watch and I see the same system. It's a tectonic shift within the same system, replacing people. It's politics, so wherever it is, it's practiced everywhere. Magu has been around, he's stayed for 5 years. A lot of other people are still around doing even worse than he did. He's been picking and choosing who to investigate. His godfather is now dead. People are trying to replace him and all whatnot. So it's not a big deal for me. Like I said, when I was given the first opportunity, it's all activities that we do, but there's no solid program to move us as a country forward. The new man that came in, I don't know who he is. Nigerians will watch and see how he performs. But I'm not expecting a lot to happen because Magu is out or whoever is out. Tomorrow, something else is going to happen. Festus Keyamo is facing his issue. That guy is facing his issue. I'm really tired of all the noise. What we want to see is the government carrying out what it needs to carry out, the policies they need to carry out, EFCC doing what they need to do. And like the barrister said, we are tired of strong people, we need strong institutions. And for strong institutions to take hold, we need people like you and me and everyone else to engage. And having engaged the system politically, I can see that a lot more fight needs to be put forward by Nigerians if we have to grow this nation.
Thank you. Mr. Ogbonawuke, we especially invited you from Rivers you'll be talking along with Honorable Davis in a moment. But are you hearing me? Ogbonna, I can see you are in the forum, but I can't see your face. Well, I will ask Studio to get us your face so that we can have a direct discussion with you. But Tonye, are you still with me?
Yes, I'm here with you.
Yeah, what's your impression? Because I'm about to go into some other topics. Yeah, but what's your impression concerning all this hula baloo? You think it will change anything in Nigeria? It was just another drama. Once this episode is done, we'll take another one.
Okay, quickly, firstly, I have to state that Nigerians must change the mindset of this is our thief. What did you do with your own thief when they caught him? What did you do? A thief is a thief, no matter where he comes from. That's the first analysis I'm going to say. Then about the issue with President Muhammad Buhari, this might not be the entire change we want, but it's a roadmap to where I think Nigeria should be going to. This is the first time a president is bold enough to fire a serving EFCC boss. The man might not have done the best of his ability, or according to the way some people have stated it, that is selective investigation. He has selected a few people to investigate. A new person has come. I'm sure the new person will also pick those people he didn't pick to investigate. But what's important is that a precedent has been set that no matter who you are, no matter who's involved, you can be investigated. Just in the UK, one of the senior assistants to the Prime Minister was accused that he had a meeting with a friend, and a few months later, the friend was awarded one of the biggest housing jobs in the UK, and people were calling for his resignation. It's that simple. So I don't think the president will suspend Magu or change him if there is no concrete evidence in the panel that have not been revealed to the public yet. Okay. Whoever is involved in corrupt practices should go down. That's what I think.
All right. Thank you very much. We have important personalities in the program today, and I guess that we're going to have a serious discussion concerning local and national politics of Nigeria. I will still reserve Dr. Adeoye discussion till later, but let me start with our friends from Rivers. There's an honorable, I believe, Honorable Davis. You've been senator, haven't you? Unmute, please. Unmute. Hello, Honorable Davis.
I was in the House of Representatives. I was a member of the House for 8 years.
Oh, you're a member of the House. Please introduce yourself. Please.
Oh, my name is Right Honorable Dr. Sokwante Davis. Presently, I am the chairman of the APC in Rivers State. I was a member of the House of Representatives from June 2007 to June 2015. Within that period, I served as Director of Finance and Administration for the President Muhammad Buhari campaign.
Something happened.
Served as Executive Director of Marine Operations of Nigerian Coastal Authority and DPC Caretaker Committee. I didn't get your question, please. I didn't get your question.
Yeah, the question, now that we know you, now that you are a member of the House of Representatives, let me try and shock you. I was in Nigeria 2000, when Nigeria was 50 years old, and there was a parliamentary Christian meeting, and people came from all over the world to that meeting. Were you at that meeting?
Yes.
It was David Mark who was the president of the Senate there.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Will you remember my face that we were in the same car?
The National Prayer Breakfast, I was there.
Yes, at the breakfast. And you and I, we were in the same car.
Yes, I actually coordinated that prayer breakfast. I can now remember the face.
Yeah, you know, I don't like to make fuss about things, you know, people will think I'm right. But I'm so glad to have you on. And I know you have relatives all over London. I can see them on the forum. I won't call them. Now, Honorable Davis, well, because you treated me well when I came, you know, so let me treat you well now.
Thank you very much.
Doc, you didn't come back to tell us that too, so you share.
No, it did not involve money. God sake, just
no, it's not money. It's just
there is no EFCC.
Don't worry, I'm going to visit in St. Petersburg.
There is no EFCC, so don't worry. Honorable David, don't mind them. Tell us what is going on in Rivers APC right now.
Well, in Rivers State presently, the governor is PDP, and some of you were aware of what happened within the APC to the extent that we couldn't field any candidates for any of the elections. And so APC is not represented. And, you know, well, it's a one-party state, so to say, because almost everybody is of the PDP. And speaking from the point of opposition, that is giving Rivers frustration. Rivers will feel frustrated. They are frustrated primarily with the APC, because the APC is supposed to provide credible alternative policy platform to critique what the government is doing, to appraise what the government is doing, applaud where it's doing well, and also to point out where it's not doing well, and also to give alternative problems of the APC. We have not been able to do that until now, about 2 weeks ago. And one of us went to court because there were these issues that made us not to have candidates. Now made the National Working Committee as at that time, which is now dissolved. We set up a caretaker committee. One of us went to court and had a judgment. We say that it should be the chairman, inclusive of all of us, and we're about 38. And we looked at the judgment from various points and various angles, and some felt that we are not part of it, so we should go and appeal and dissociate ourselves. The majority felt that this is an opportunity for us to rebuild the party. It's an opportunity for us to reposition the party and give it people hope. So we let him run as the chairman. But unfortunately, it turned out to be a different thing, became like a sole administrator and took decisions that not only inimical to the party, but also brought the party into a problem. So the majority of the members of the caretaker committee, about 28 or so, now decided that he has to go. And the 28 is not that the rest are with him, only the rest couldn't be contacted as when the meeting was called. So what is happening now is that the APC is being repositioned. We are meeting with groups, we are trying to reconcile so that we'll be able to now put the government in check and to be able to properly critique its activities as a political party.
All right, thank you very much. But I have one question for you.
Yes.
We have the Minister of Transport from Rivers State.
Yes, sir.
He's been a governor. He's been speaker for 2 terms, governor for 2 terms now, minister for 2 terms, and we thought there would be a lot of maturity in Rotimi Amechi running his own party, so that he could have some status within the central government level. But that has not appeared to take place at the moment. What do you think, up to the point that you didn't even have a party to contest gubernatorial election?
Yes, well, the situation is that Rotimi Amechi is not regular, as we say in quotes, political leader who must interfere in every aspect of what is happening. Rotimi Amechi is somebody, when he gives you responsibility, he lets you run that responsibility. He does not micromanage you. And you know that in the Nigerian political system, most of the so-called successes we have attained because somebody says that to micromanage people. If you want to micromanage people, then why do you let them be in a position? So that has been Rotimi's, would I say, undoing. But it's not his undoing, it's his own credit. It means that whenever responsibilities are given to him, he will not micromanage people. Unfortunately, I'll tell you the history. In 2015, we had some issues leading to the elections. And by 2016, after the reruns and everything, the party base, the morale of the party base was very, very low. And within that period, people started to say they want to become governors, they want to go to the Senate, they want to go to House of Representatives, they want to go to the House of Assembly, they want to be this, they want to be that. And what we called a meeting of all the leaders and said, look, gentlemen and ladies, this is not how to do about this business. We have just come from a very fierce battle, and a lot of injuries were inflicted. Our party members were killed in their hundreds. In almost all the LGS, the worst hit was Obaibima local government area. So this is the time to leave all these ambitions. Let us build the party. Let us bring everybody together. Let us try to give hope to the hopeless. After that, we'll now go into ambitions. Yeah, this was 2017. Yeah, 2019 is near, but if we organize, we can probably do this thing. And some people refuse, and that was the genesis of the problems.
All right, thank you very much. If you want to ask Honorable Davis questions concerning rivers, please, just all you need to do is raise up your hand. But let me acknowledge in our midst former Minister of Sports, Barrister Solomon Dalong. I acknowledge you, sir. I don't know, you don't want to show us your face. I can see your name, but and I see the frame, but your face we may want to see. I've not seen your face. You were a minister until a few weeks ago, and I just want if we can see your face. How are you doing, sir? Good morning.
I'm fine. Thank you very much for the wonderful job you are doing.
Thank you. From where are you speaking, sir?
Well, I'm speaking from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the largest black nation in the world.
State?
Yes.
Okay. This is the first time I've been seeing you as a non-minister. The last time I saw you, you were wearing the minister garb, and I was shaking. Now you are just like me, Mr. Minister.
No, well, it's Corona and I'm in the room, so we've just been observing the protocol. But if you had met me outside, I have not changed.
I'm so glad to have you on the program. Maybe later you will have something to say. All you need to do is just raise up your hand here, and I will invite you to speak, sir.
You're welcome.
And maybe we need to ask you one or two questions later in the program concerning the way forward in the Nigerian sports, especially post-COVID-19. But I want to finish the discussion on River State. I know we have the secretary or the spokesperson for Rivers APC, Mr. Ogbonna Nwuke. Are you still with us, sir? Okay. While he's trying to get that one settled, let me go to Dr. Adeoye from the National Consultative Forum so that we can just take that one. Tell us about the National Consultative Forum and why are there some people dissenting? We read from the beginning, Agbakoba was there, Fanfalano was there, Obi Ezekwesili was there, and Umar was there, and all of a sudden, of course, Patutum is still there. All of a sudden, some people were saying we were not consulted, and I have read the news. Balarabe Musa has supported the program. Tell us about the National Consultative Program. Did you really consult with some people, or you just assumed they will be there? Tell us more, sir, Dr. Ade.
2 in 1 about NCF, and then about some people that left. Those who claim not to have been consulted, it's just a very minor issue, which is internal communication gap. But I can tell you that none of the people that left were aliens at NCF. So let's leave it at that. We are bridging the gap. Now, who are we at NCF? Just like I mentioned earlier, that we have identified serious problem with our country. And when you look at good governance and the parameters and the deliverables to the citizen, we find out that this is not there. And so it's important for all well-meaning Nigerians to come together and say, look, We are still sick. We've taken these drugs from 1999 till date, and we are not healed. And so we are going back to consult the doctors. And then the doctors are Nigerians. And so at NCF, we're looking at, select leaders of conscience and stakeholders, who have passion for this project called Nigeria. And then we're looking at how to dialogue with everybody across the country. And why are we doing this? It's because we have seen critically that there is deficiency in governance in terms of competence. The other time I spoke about the structure, the conduct, and performance that is expected. And once there is a problem with the structure, you can't have good conduct. People will just do what they like. And that's why you're having crisis at the National Assembly at the moment, where Keyamo says something, Ingige is saying another thing, the DG, ND is saying another thing, the Senate is saying something else. So this is a problem of structure that we have, and that's what determines conduct. So we've seen that we do not see the kind of discipline that is expected. The cohesion is not there. We don't have, there's lack of democratic best practices that you can find, like the one you have in the UK, the US, and other places. I'm glad that Dr. Davis spoke clearly about their experience in Rivers. And he will agree with me that this is coming from lack of best practice, in our political system. So we've seen all of this problem, and then we feel that it's important for all Nigerians to come together. And what is our focus? What is our goal?
Thank you very much. I'll just allow my colleagues to say something quickly. Nat, when we heard of this consultative front, we were so happy. And of course, we discussed it. And what will you tell us right now before I go to Otumba?
Well, the names and faces that were mentioned are not new to the political terrain of Nigeria. I can call some of them. They have been around even since the 60s. Mm. And they have participated in all the political activities since independence, and some of them were even presidential candidates in the 2019 presidential elections. Mm. So we some of us are a bit skeptical as to what new thing they are bringing onto the table. We also want to if you also take an average or mean of their ages, I think all of them are above 50, getting to 60. And we are talking about bringing up our youth to fully participate in the political dynamics of the country. I can't see any youth among them.
Well, they may just be the machine, not the driver. Maybe they're bringing the youth driver later.
Well, we live to see. We hope time will tell. But my thinking that it's like you are bringing in new wine into old skins. And
okay, Otuba, you've had Nat Consultative Front. They came out big, and we were happy that there's a third force in the Nigerian politics. Otuba, what do you say? Third force. Everybody is looking for the third force. Oh, apologies to APC and PDP. But everybody is looking for the third force. Don't you think so?
Thank you. My take on this is I don't want to wish this consultative assembly or group anything. But to be honest with you, Dr. Adeoye, I'm not seeing the signs of your group going to make any difference, because again, like we said here on this forum today, everything is personalized. We have not been talking. We have issue of ideology. We have issue of institutions and so on and so forth. And like one of my colleagues said, here we have faces of former professor this, former professor that, former SAN, and so on and so forth. I would have thought people of your group should be engineers, should be on the driving seat to change, to install the biggest cause of our problem, which is rule of law, that we don't have.
But they don't have the structure to do that, so they're raising up a structure.
That's fine. I can live with that argument, sir.
So
that's the point I'm saying. Yeah, Dr. Johnson, let me. So that's what I'm saying. I will want them to concentrate, you understand me, more on that kind of driving force to bring by what has always let us down in the country, because we need to have rule of law in place. We don't have it. Your group is just also running to the rock. You're not going to succeed, and that is not wishing you bad, because the truth of the matter is most of the people in your group also have also been there. The question is, from somebody like me, what are your contributions? What happened when we have a thriving industry, we have a assembly company and so on and so forth, and we have some people who will also want to know what is the new thing. Are you ready to do jaga jaga and rofo business in Nigeria?
We will not mention names, but the only person
I don't mention. Did I mention names? Did I mention anybody's
when
name?
you start talking about assemblies of vehicles that failed, I know you want to mention names.
You can add his name. That would be.
I'm not adding any name. But let me
you
ask
you,
Gossin, what's your take on this? Gossin? I thought it's a thought force we've all been waiting for, especially the middle class in Nigeria. They don't want to belong to APC. They don't want to belong to PDP. So they don't vote at all. And they're complaining that Nigeria is not doing well. So now this consultative front has come. They have not paid me. I just want to know what your position is.
Thank you very much, Doc. In politics, there's two key democratic factors that Nigerians have to begin to adhere to or understand how to operate with in our democracy. One is delegative democracy and deliberative democracy. And also the issue of having what Habermas calls a rational space of discourse, where people will be able to have a forum or a space in order to discuss rationally national issues to arrive to a collective common objective or goal in our democratic transition. But the factor here is that, and I keep saying it, the only way we can arrive to a position where we begin to talk about an alternative or a competitive political system is when a platform is created with Nigerians believing in a leader that is accepted as leader of leaders. The problem with Nigerians is that everyone wants to be a leader. Everyone wants to answer the leadership name. And in that course, we end up destroying the structure that an individual or group of individuals are trying to put together in the collective interest of all. But then you have individuals who are ulteriorly or ulterior-motively looking for how to become the leader. And you remember, this particular forum was formed 2014 or so, 2013. And they were being looked at as the third force then. And then suddenly they splitted into splinter groups and formed their own different political associations and bodies. And then suddenly that movement fused away. And then the third force propagation ended before even the election in 2015. And the same group of people now are coming up, even not looking at historic perspective of what destroyed the first instance of their grouping in 2013 or 2014. They are grouping again with the same people who I believe, if not well nurtured, and understanding that who is the accepted leader of this movement. Do all the leaders that are gathering around this particular individual believe that this person can be an accepted leader among them as a leader of the leaders? Because if not, if they don't have that sense of delegative, deliberative, democratic principle in their head, in their mind, in their understanding, the result concept is that by 2022, you have a splinter groups of people who will move out of this movement and form various forms of political party or being paid to divide the interests of this movement, just like they did in 2014 before the election in 2015, like the Ezekwesili and the rest went into different parties. Patu Tome went back to APC and all those things. They all know themselves. They all split into different parties, formed new parties, and joined new parties. The spirit of that movement was completely dismantled and disjointed. And that is the same thing I'm seeing here. They need to come to a term, and in the principle of what I believe, forming and accepting a leader of leaders. This group is full of leaders, but who is the leader of the leaders that they're going to work with?
I'm going to ask Dr. Adeye in a moment to respond, but is there anyone who wants to add to what is on the ground? Because when I first saw it, I said, yes, APC, PDP, and now a third formidable force. That's what came to my mind. And I don't know how many people had that mind, because I believe in democracy with opposition. So in my own opinion, I don't know if I'm allowed to have any. Nigeria appears not to have opposition at the federal level. Nigeria, we have just been told by Honorable Davis that there appears to be no opposition in Rivers. I can tell you for sure in Lagos State, opposition is at the zero level. So we might look at states like that and discover that there's something wrong with our democracy, where oppositions just fizzle out. And unbelievably, 8 members of PDP were elected into the state assembly in Lagos State in the 2015 election. Within 1 year, they've all decamped into APC, making the state one-party state. If you want to say something before I allow Dr. Adeye to respond, please raise up your hand right now, and I will definitely allow you. If you raise up your hand electronically, it will help me. Otherwise, if you do it manually, I will still recognize you because Dr. Adeye has listened to all our various opinions. But okay, in the absence of that, Dr. Adeye, you want to respond before we go to another topic?
I'll first respond to Otumba. Otumba is an elder in the land, and I believe that he is supposed to be part of people of conscience that are consulting about how to rescue Nigeria from bad governance. And so the NCF is not yet a political party. It's a work in progress where consultations are going on across the country. And you find the likes of Balarabe Musa in the group. And he made a statement and said, all the members, they are very old people, 50 something. I'm a member. I am not up to 50. But the drivers of this front, they do not necessarily represent the kind of people that we are saying should come forward to lead the country. That's not the focus. The focus is that all of them, like Patu Tomi, is not looking for anything again. And so these people, Otumba is shaking his head, but let me just
I saw him. I saw him too.
I saw him shaking his head. So all of us need to come together and say what is the way forward. Now he made some comments, and I believe that the NCF will take note of all of this. But it's a front for all Nigerians to come together to discuss the way forward. Now, what is our focus at NCF? We want a country where there is truth, and you see deception all over. Sometimes you read in the newspaper, you are not sure. Thank God for Nat, who told us that the TVC news was stale news. He gave us a new dimension because it's very close to what is happening at the FCT. Now, we want a country where there is truth, where there is equity. You know that we have problems. The agitation we have today in our country is about nepotism, lopsided this and that. So we want justice. Now, where there is justice, equity, peace, unity, and love. That's the kind of Nigeria we want. So how do we achieve that? Now, Godson has spoken, and I love what he said. His own statement were statements of recommendations. And I believe that all of us, just like Dr. Davis said about Rivers, there are issues in all the political parties. But please don't get NCF wrong. NCF is not yet a political party. You can have good people in any party. But what we're saying is, what is the quality of leaders that we are bringing forth in any party whatsoever? That's the discussion now. It's not about third force or opposition. That's not the focus now. The focus is quality of leader, proper structure that would determine good conduct and then result in performance.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Adeyi. I'm going to recognize in a moment our brother Iboro and Tonye. Dr. Adeyi, it's just that as a student of political science myself, I want to demarcate between the pressure group and political party. At the moment, from what I've heard from you, is a pressure group. The Consultative Front is a pressure group because you are not yet, I underline the word yet, a party. So which means something is in the offing, is it?
Yes, the result of consultation.
Yeah.
Part of what we're discussing here, I was on a radio station 2 days ago, and I discovered that a lot of Nigerians were asking questions. We thought this is a political party. Oh, we were glad, we were happy, and all of those. So we'll look at what are the agitations. What do we really want as Nigerians? But like I said earlier, the focus is to have a better Nigeria and quality of leaders. And this can come from any party. Please, let's get that right.
Okay, I think you are a very good politician. Mr. Iburu, okay, Iburu,
yes,
go
sir.
for it. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to watch. And again, in the more people that engage the political system, the better it is. So all forms of oppositions or ideas or structures are welcomed. And it's interesting to watch, and we are watching. But then also I'm happy that, I mean, we have a lot of old politicians there, but they come out along with experiences. For example, Obi Ezekwesili has been able to understand that, before you get into join a political party, you need to know who are the people in charge, because then there are so many games. And for people like us,
serious lesson.
Yeah, like for people like us, we ran for in elections. We tried to get into the election petition tribunal. We were excluded. We went to all courts in Nigeria. We were excluded. We've done all sorts. And what I'm telling you are things that when you go on the internet, whether it's BBC or TVC or Channels Television, we've been on air every day. We talk about this, and nothing has happened. And when the registrar of the petition tribunal in Akwa Ibom State told myself and the press, Channels TV was there, AIT was there, everyone, he told us, look, you guys are not going to be able to do anything. Wherever you go, no one will listen to you. I'm not taking your petition. And we have a video, of this even before the deadline was over. We've gone to every court, we've engaged every system, and nothing has happened. It tells you that, look, a lot more needs to be done and a lot more engagement. And Nigeria is more than what you see when you try to engage the political system.
So it's interesting. I'm going to invite Sonia in a moment, because I think I saw your hand on, but just before you go, you mentioned judiciary. A nation without judiciary is dead, isn't it? And
it's a West. There's a video by Channel TVC. They came with us to the courts. We will go to court and the judge will not show up. We went there until we were in court without judges showing up every now and then, until they went on whatever they call it, recess or whatever. We wrote to the president of the Court of Appeal, or is it the Chief Justice of the Federation, whoever, to allow the vacation courts to listen to our case and entertain it, so that we can get into the election petition tribunal because of the time frame. They wrote back to us that we should wait for the courts to come back from vacation, knowing fully well that by the time they came, they would have come back, the tribunal would have been over. And that is exactly what happened. This is covered by BBC, this is covered by all this newspaper, Vanguard, Guardian. It's a national issue. What has happened? Has anyone been sacked? It's only now that we are going to the ICC that the Chief Justice of the Federation wrote to us 2 months ago, after 9 months, saying, we recognize there was an issue with your election petition tribunal case and whatever, we're going to look into it. Look into it and do what? While I was addressing the press at the election petition tribunal, I told them, look, we don't want you to talk to us after 9 months and start firing people. We are looking at getting into office. Can we do that? Now you're writing to me to say you're looking at it. To do what? To fire people? We don't care. And these are the problems that are structurally...
The worst part of it all is that when individuals go to court seeking for justice, maybe they took their landed property and you want to repossess your landed property, and the magistrate never comes to work, and on the day of something will happen to that magistrate, he will not come.
They don't, I mean, these guys don't care. So now what we are trying to do is how we can compare.
And Tony, sorry, I mean, we just have to expose all these things. Tony, what's your take?
I've been laughing behind the scene because it's very funny, you know, when you're a part of the Nigerian political system, when you've been a frontliner and you followed up the political activities the way they are, you get to relate with what my brother Eboro has said. You know, it's crazy where you have very clear issues, people at the comfort of their bed producing court judgments. You know, just recently I was reading over the social media that the federal government is prosecuting someone for presenting fake court documents over something. And it's crazy when the judiciary, that's supposed to be the last hope of a common man, is irresponsible in its totality. You know, so it's very shocking to know that the judiciary is not there for anyone. It's only there for whoever is giving instruction or whoever that is good enough to pay the highest bid. I am very ashamed of Nigerian judiciary system. We pray that a proper structure of reform will come through. But before then, I heard our brother talked about their new gathering and association. It's very it's shocking because these are the same people that have been there before. In politics, whoever brings money to form a process drives and determines how the processes are driven, on what direction is the group going. Already, you talked about being fair and sincere. That's one of the major goals of your group. But now, from now, we're even seeing foul plays in the system. If you want to form from this point to a political party, let people know. Don't put it in the head of Nigerians that Nigerians called you to become a political party. These are minor politics that people have been playing all their lives. Someone wants to contest the election, he wouldn't say, I'm contesting the election. So no, the people called me to contest the election. This is not what we're expecting at this stage. Nigerians expect more sincerity.
I'm just looking at the time, and I want to invite our former Minister of Sports, Mr. Solomon Dalong. It's good to have you on the forum again, sir. You must have something to tell Nigeria. Come on, sir. Go ahead.
Well, let me begin by commending the efforts here to discuss the country, leadership, and our political system. And I will begin by saying that I think every society produces its type of leadership. And so if we, at this point, begin to tread blames like we are seeing here, when we have people coming together to offer an alternative to what they think is a better way of addressing the political question, that is the beginning of our failure. We don't believe in ourselves, and we don't also even believe in the country. That some people were there yesterday and they are still here today saying things are not right means they know the problem. So you don't disqualify people because they were there yesterday. I want to believe that our problem basically is systemic and structural. And unless and until these issues are addressed, even if you have angels there, they will still have to deal with these structural problems. And I give you a good example. When I was appointed a minister, my first problem was people were asking from where was I coming? Meaning I was even not a Nigerian. That was the first question. The second question was to align me with the sports sector. And even those who were raising this issue knew very well that somebody like me at 53 then should have gone through a school system where there was functional sports system that was mandatory as at the time I went to school. But they still failed because I did not belong to an existing systemic arrangement. I was not picked from among them. Everything was done to make it impossible for me to operate. I have to employ the Marxist theory that you need some madness to effect changes. And so I have to behave, yes, I have to behave at a certain stage like somebody who was not properly schooled, because the environment was too hostile, was unaccommodating, and I was a stranger to it, as if I'm a non-Nigerian. And I'm seeing it playing out here. If we are beginning to blame those who had been part of the system and had not returned to their houses, the comfort of their houses, and are still on the street saying things are not right, and we are saying, oh, we are seeing the old faces. Can any new face make an impact in Nigeria? In a monetized political system like Nigeria? Myself, Solomon Dallo, contested 3 elections, and I watched my results traded up. Not that I was not there. And the question was that, who was my father? Where was I coming from? I was somebody who was too independent-minded. So when I got the opportunity of being appointed, I knew the system, I knew Nigeria very well. I didn't want to go and dress there in Agbada to wear suit. So I looked very awkward, and a lot of people didn't take me serious. And of course, I had time to do what I wanted to do in sports and left. So Nigeria is not as easy as all these things we are saying here. We have a very serious systemic and structural problem. And I believe that unless and until we still come back again and look at this particular arrangement we are calling presidential democracy, we may end up with sermonizing and terrorizing with very fantastic Queen's English here, and the country will continue to sleep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to support you. I would be a bad Nigerian if I didn't support you. Once upon a time, we had a Nigerian High Commissioner, Dr. Kolade, here in London, and he did many things to reform the Nigerian High Commission, many things. At that time, salaries were not paid on time, if at all. We were not paying our electricity bill, the Nigerian High Commission. There were so many buildings that were rented that the Nigerian government did not pay. So he had to do so many things to go out of the box to make sure that we pay gas bill, electricity bill, to get workers to wash the public toilets where people come and get their visas and things like that. And he put things in place that nobody will ask money to get visa from the Nigerian High Commission. If you want to come and get visa, it must be free. If you want to get your Nigerian passport, it should be according to law. And it worked for about 3 weeks. And everything reverted to the old within weeks. And he lamented publicly that there is a systemic problem. No matter how you try to change it, there's a way it comes back to the old system. I still don't know how that works out, but it will not be good for me not to say it in the open. How do we now change this systemic thing? I'm going to go back to Nigeria right now. Festus Keyamo, present Minister of State in Labor, went to the Nigerian National Assembly to answer questions how he will get 774,000 people jobs, that is 1,000 per local government, and he could not get his way through, and the National Assembly could not get his own way through. And Nat, you want to keep up to date. What happened between Keyamo and the Senate, and then what is the now that has been suspended, and my fear is that the people who are supposed to get the jobs will never get it, at least not now. Nat, please keep up to date. What happened?
Again, that's old news. It's very stale. That's last week.
Okay, yes, go on. Update us, please.
Yesterday.
That's why you are here. Update us.
Yesterday, the Joint Committee of the Senate and the House of Reps on this job issue. Yesterday, the senior minister Dr. Honorable Senator Ngige with his junior minister, senior advocate Keyamo, they were in the National Assembly yesterday. Ngige wasted his time apologizing to the senators, but his Minister of State, Keyamo, gave a press conference after that apologies. He said he doesn't agree with what the minister did. He's still standing on his ground that the National Assembly members cannot hijack those 774 jobs unless Buhari says they should hand it over to the National Assembly members. And that is the stand of Keyamo. Again, I think he's the loser because eventually the senior minister had a closed door meeting with the National Assembly members, and I'm sure they are agreeable on the sharing formula or sharing percentage, which the National Assembly people are used to. They will tell you they did the appropriation, they want to oversight, they want to be sure things are properly done. But honestly, it is sad, it's unfortunate that we have those type of clowns in the National Assembly.
Oh, come on. The NAT, no. Otuba, having had the update given by NAT, how Ngige and Keyamo are now not particularly on the same page, what will you say?
Typical of the systematic we've been talking about, the way things are done in Nigeria is rofo, jaga, and all that kind of thing. And that will persist, that will continue to go on. And I have thought, and I'm thinking, and I'm praying that people, the new consultative forum should start working on how to install rule of law where things are done normally. The way things are, and I want to quickly respond, my minister. Don't be angry, Mr. Former Minister. The situation, the ordinary people in Nigeria, the period of time is taking us to even start to think of wanting to put in place a system to make it for everybody to be happy with governance. We are not doing it. And we have, in the interim, people have stolen money. People are still stealing money. Ordinary people are suffering in Jalingo, in Akeke, in Ibadan, in Oyo, and so on and so forth. So for another consultative forum to come up, I want them to write a kind of MOU. I will join that. You are not going to transform, you are not going to change this forum to a political party. I'm 73 years old, and I'm willing to come to Nigeria working, because what we need is to fix the problem. To fix the problem, we need to do the proper structural arrangement. The structural arrangement is what we don't have.
I'm watching the time. I will allow Honorable Davis then from there to go to Godson. Honorable Davis, please. You took care of me in Nigeria, so let me take care of you in London.
Thank you very much.
I did not take money. Corruption. I did not take money. Come on.
No, you didn't take money. I think that in this issue between the Honorable Minister of State and the National Assembly, I speak from the position as a former member of the National Assembly. I think the law is on the side of the minister. I must be frank with that. The law is on the side of the minister. He supervises that agency. And the law setting of that agency puts the supervision under him. So whatever they have to do it, unless the members of the National Assembly want to tell us things we're not aware of. But going by the law, the Minister of State, First SAN, is right on track. I do not know why the senior minister went to do what he did. I don't know. He's a former senator, so maybe he believed that talking to his colleagues, former colleagues, in the language they will understand without attention. I think that the intention is not to rubbish his minister. I don't think so, because he himself knows, as a former lawmaker, he knows that the law is on the side of the minister. Our function as members of the National Assembly is to oversight, is to go and see how these things are done. It's not to determine how it should be done. It's not to determine how it should be done. Because the framework has been set. The budget has been given. Before the budget is approved, the framework has been sent. And so you have seen the framework. So what the members of the National Assembly need to do is to go and visit those places to ensure that these people are in place. And that is what the National Assembly needs to do. It's a lot of times the challenge we have within the executive arm and legislators that sometimes, I tell you, because of the structure of our politics, the legislators want to act as executives. Because sometimes, yes, indeed, it is true. It is true. I must tell you, as a former legislator, I'll tell you. Sometimes I want to act as executive, and you can't blame us because people want us as legislators. They forget our job is to make laws and to ensure that the laws we pass are working. But they want us to build hospitals, want us to build schools and all sorts of things. And some of us find it difficult to explain to our constituents that that's not our responsibility. That's the responsibility of the executive. We provide money to the executive to provide this, and we see how it is executed. There is also this turn-by-turn method of doing politics. So for a legislator, their performance is not judged by how many laws how many bills you propose that become law, how many motions you move, but it depends on how many boreholes you have sunk, how many schools you have been able to bring. These are the issues, and this is why we have some of these problems. Of course, the legislature is under pressure now, that 1,000 jobs per local government area.
Okay, Honorable Davis, you are from my own perspective, you are so right. There are three executive arms of government. One is to make law, one is to execute the law. And therefore, Keyamo was speaking the right thing, in my own opinion. But you see, in Nigeria, if you allow APC minister to give 774,000 APC stalwarts jobs all over the country, you have given them food soldiers.
No, sir, that's not the situation. There's a structure. Traditional rulers are involved. NGOs are involved. There's a structure, a whole structure that is made up. The state governments are involved. The state governments of the various states are involved. They have nominations. Youth groups are involved. So it's a whole structure. It's not APC people per se.
I'm talking of the fear of the senators. But then I mustn't talk too much because of time. At Godson, I'm giving you only 2 minutes. The minister wants to say something, and I'm happy that we can get in today. Godson, you have 2 minutes, and I'm going to time you. I'm serious.
2 minutes. Well, my own is 2 minutes. No problem. No problem. First of all, I want to say that a time has come when Nigerians will begin to walk and act like Nigerians who are aware of their place in the society and in Nigerian politics. Look, if ordinary villagers in the ward of Isako West or somewhere like that could suspend a whole national chairman of a party, and that led to the entire reduction of that political entity from the political environment. I believe it is time that the ordinary Nigerians, irrespective of their economic or financial being, begin to act politically from the smallest village in Nigeria. The likes of Keyamo and the rest are, sometimes I do call them political rats because they just deceive people to go into politics. Irrespective of the fact that the law, according to the Honorable David said, the law is on the side of Festus Keyamo or Dr. Ngige. But at the same time, we have to understand that as a minister, you have a supervisory power over a gazetted agency under your ministry. Did Keyamo consult with the DG of NDA before making all the proposals he brought forward? Did the DG work with him on the proposals that he brought forward? And at the same time, I want to say this again. It's very important that Nigerians know that 774,000 for 3 months job is a waste of Nigerian 50-point-something billion naira. It's a waste of Nigeria. They could easily give people that money without asking them to go and be sweeping road, without asking them to go and be cleaning toilets or clearing the fuse in anywhere. You could give people that money and let them sit down at home and look for something to do.
That's another angle to it. But let me call the former minister, Mr. DeLong. You are raising up your hand. What's your take, sir?
I think the drama is unnecessary because I mean politics is about service and leadership is about the well-being of the people, and so if government had decided to create a 3-man employment for citizens, it is the responsibility of the minister in charge to ensure that first he takes into consideration the interests of the beneficiaries and do everything possible to ensure that he gets this across. I think the drama in the National Assembly about who is right or who is wrong is dancing a macabre of shame on the suffering of Nigerians. That is not what we expect. There is what is called in a presidential democracy lobbying. If the minister had also properly taken every stakeholder in this particular project, we would have not been having this open disagreement between the National Assembly and the executive arm. It's unhealthy. And I as a minister, I had those instances so many times where it was like it would be difficult for me to even get what was right for the Nigerian people. And I had to pipe down, represent myself to the committee and try to make them understand that as much as you will want these things to be done, I will want it to be done fairly. You cannot dismiss the National Assembly as a stakeholder in an appointment of over 774,000 people. More so that we're in a country that justice is a sacred commodity. What has created this mutual suspicion is injustice. The National Assembly, predominantly my party, the APC, is suspicious of an executive member of the party that the project might be misapplied to project a particular political interest. This is something happening within the House. And what has led to that is injustice. Because if there was justice, there would have been no suspicion. So I think going to begin to applaud the drama and then the movie or the show of shame in the National Assembly is not the issue. Look at Nigerians who are now suffering with the pandemic, with the lockdown and other government policies that have been put in place that has escalated hardship. That is what should preoccupy the mind of leaders and not what we're having here. So the National Assembly is afraid because if one man is left to go and appoint, Nigerians are very funny. Somebody could just go and appoint his friends. He will appoint traditional rulers of his opinion. Even in the same party, APC, they will not even consider some people because some people are not of the same thinking with them. So this is the type of democracy in place. It's a democracy of mutual suspicion and injustice. So you have the president struggling, battling with different interests. He's presiding over a political empire of people with different agenda. Nobody is talking about Nigerians now. Let me tell you one secret. What you see playing out is that people are repositioning themselves for 2023. Wow. The president is left alone now, struggling to defend his name and his mandate, while his foot soldiers are designing the architecture to accommodate another new political emperor. That is what is playing out. So I don't want to take side with who is right or who is wrong, but I think he knew this business very well. That is why he felt if he will get anything for Nigerians, then he has to go with diplomacy.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, former Minister. Thank you very much for that. There's a special guest from Rivers that I've not been able to get, Mr. Ogbonna Nweke. Are you here with us now?
I'm here.
Yes, I'm so sorry. You've listened to what has happened, what are the things happening in our country. What are your immediate takes, sir? What would you like the whole world to hear right now?
I think that we, as a developing democracy, do have some challenges. Sometimes, my friend, Secretary Davis, has said, there is this act of impunity that has pervaded the entire system. So lawmakers sometimes think that they are lords, and so must determine how events are laid out in this country. And perhaps there's this feeling that we are overlords rather than servants. And the blame game isn't even necessary. I take the issue of forming new organizations. I have this feeling, looking at Nigeria's history, that what Nigeria really deserves is a two-party system. And if you look at it, over time, there have always been two strong major parties. So the issue about a third force may be necessary, but it doesn't answer give the answer to Nigeria's major political issues. The issue is that some of the leaders are out of tune. They're not aligning with the grassroots. So the dynamics of our politics have always been a push and shove thing. So that's the way I see it. I believe that gradually we're beginning to enter a new era, whether you think that you're a conservative or whether you think that you're a progressive. Of course, mistakes will be made, but there are strong indications.
This program is going to end in very few minutes time, and Mr. Bona, if I need to bring you in next week, I will do so. I want to thank everybody, but I want to see if I can give a few people, not everybody, 10 seconds to say something. Otumba, in 10 seconds, what message to Nigeria? 10 seconds, and I take it.
10 seconds, it's okay, it's even too long. Everybody here on this platform, I've always said this, and I want to repeat. All we need to do is to fix the problem. The problem is because lack of proper structure, lack of rule of law. Everybody is doing whatever they like, and they're getting away with murder. And that's exactly what we need to
Thank you very much.
Rule of law.
Now, in 10 seconds.
Well, I want to emphasize the issue of transparency and accountability.
Transparency and accountability. Gossin, in 10 seconds.
Well, like the last speaker said, I think we need to believe in structuring the two big parties we have in Nigeria and begin to believe in great leaders that can lead leaders. A leader that can lead the leaders.
Dr. Adeoye, in 10 seconds.
Focus on truth, equity, justice, equality, peace, unity, and love as a nation.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Davis, in 10 seconds, what will you want to tell your countrymen? Honorable Davis.
Yeah, I didn't get what you said.
What would you like to
say? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. And we can see you take a picture. All right. I'll go to Iboro. Iboro, what would you like to?
Well, I would ask all of us Nigerians to engage politically and encourage us to actively engage the system, because that's the only way we can transform this country and get great, credible leaders to lead us going forward.
Would you like to say something in 10 seconds?
Yeah, Nigerians, mostly Nigerian youths, must begin to ask questions and hold leaders accountable for their actions.
All right. The last but not the least, dear Commandant, Solomon Dalong, former ex-minister, what would you like to tell your fellow countrymen in 10 seconds?
There is hope for Nigeria. We only need social justice and the rule of law. The country will move forward.
On that note, I want to thank everyone who has come. It's been 2 hours ago we started the show. I'm sure we have touched so many important issues in Nigeria. The Honorable Minister for Sports told us about systemic and structure, alluding to what Otumba has been saying. And I want to thank Nat for his in-depth research. And I want to thank Honorable Davies. Next time I come to Port Harcourt, you know what I mean. I'll come and see you again. Not that anything, you know, I'm just joking. I want to thank all those who have been on the forum. Dr. Adeoye has been wonderful. And this is how far we can go today. Mr. Oguna Nwuke, we'll hope to see you next time. Iboro, maybe next time you'll be the governor of Akwa Ibom. Then I'll be visiting
Thank you so much.
That's how we can go. The program is You Decide. The television is Ben Television, the greatest in Europe. Watch worldwide. My name is Sheldon Johnson. Until next Wednesday, it is you who decide. God bless.